Hello, my loves. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to this week's Wellness Off the Mat. So, if you hung out with me in January, we spent each week kind of building on one habit after another so that we could kind of build some momentum. So often in January, we set like that really big goal at the beginning. And then instead of building momentum, we kind of go downhill and it goes like this, and then eventually we stop. So to avoid that, right, and do something a little bit different, instead, we took little pieces, 1 week at a time, and worked our way up to get to that like really big habit. Wow, there's a really bad glare on my glasses today, so I'm gonna take those off. So yeah, so we built that momentum in January. So hopefully you're feeling that energy and feeling that like buzz, right? So let's recap. What did we do in January? Week 1, we talked about make your bed, which at the crux of it is really talking about like what are your daily habits. Check in with those things you do every single day. Are they bringing you towards your goals or are they taking you further away from them? So that was week 1. So week 2, we added on a little bit about routine and consistency. So what we talked about, starting with the basics, right? Sleep and food, 2 things that we need to survive, right? These are baseline fundamentals. So let's build some routine and some consistency around those. And then we can start looking at routine and consistency in other places in our life and working on those routines and finding consistency in those things. Week 3, we took a break from the hard work. Let's find joy. That was what we talked about. We said dance party, live it up, find moments every single day, intentional moments where you do something just that's fun, something that's just for you. And that might look very different for all of us, right? I'm in the middle of totally reorganizing my house right now. You guys might notice we're in like a different space than you've seen before. It's like a total overhaul, but I love it. It is giving me such good energy. I feel like I'm breaking up all the stagnation in the space and in my own life. And I'm so excited to have a new workspace, a new living space, a new yoga space to share with you. So it's going to be great. So you might not find joy in organizing, right? But it's whatever brings you joy. Spending moments every day creating or singing, dancing, whatever makes you happy. Spending time in your garden with your kids, with your grandkids, nieces, whatever. The sky is the limit, whatever brings you joy. Week 4, movement. And we didn't talk about the gym, right? We're not talking about that dreaded. If you're going to a negative place when I say movement, just stop yourself right now. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about joyful movement, celebrating our bodies and what they're capable of doing for us. So finding things that you love, and same thing, creating space in your day every day for them. Maybe it's a quick walk most days, or a short yoga practice or something else. And then maybe once or twice a week you do a bigger thing. You go for a hike when the weather's nice. You go kayaking. If you like the winter, maybe you're out skiing or right now and on the hills snowshoeing. So there's so many ways to build movement. We talked about gardening under joy. That can go under movement too, right? Spending some time out in your garden. It's a great way to build some movement into your life. So all of these things are going to be healthy for us, but not just in body, also in mind. When it, those thoughts you thought maybe first when I said movement of like, I don't want to go to the punishment as exercise, like all those that's going to put negative thoughts in our mind, right, that are going to spill out. So we want to do all positive things, all things that are going to uplift us. So that was our January. So I can't just like leave you hanging, right? Give you those 4 weeks and then be like, bye, we move on to something else. So I wanted to take this week to go over it a little bit, recap, and what I suggest, right? These are never things that like, I'm not telling anybody you have to do any of this stuff. Nobody has to do anything. But what I suggest is you take a few minutes and just look back at your January, right? What did you do each week? Where did you, address areas of your life? How did you do with it? And I say this all the time, right? When we're looking at ourselves, when we're doing this reflection and this work with ourselves, it's not about judgment, right? We're not looking at ourselves going, you're bad, you suck, you failed, you didn't do it. No, we make mistakes, right? And one of my favorite quotes comes to mind when I think about this kind of stuff. Like, don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a long time making it, right? So like, don't cling to our mistakes and our failures. Shit happens, life happens, we fall off. What it's all about in the long run is just coming back to it. And the way we end up practicing really healthy lifestyles is by knowing that we're gonna fall off and we're just gonna come back. So if you kind of learn to expect it, right, then you can identify it a little bit quicker when it happens and you can jump right back onto where you want to be. Sometimes we need to fall off to kind of like shake things up. Like I'm shaking up my space right now. It's a disaster, right? So sometimes we need to like fall off and be a mess in order to like reconfigure and find out where we really want to be. Were we headed in the right direction to begin with? Or like, did the path need to change a little bit and we weren't ready for it? So sometimes that falling off can be a really great place to jump off and start again from. So use that. Don't beat yourself up when things happen that maybe you weren't in the game plan, right? Use it. Find a way to like tap into that as a resource and take it with you instead of beating yourself up and getting stuck there, right? Because that's what ends up happening. We beat ourselves up for these mistakes and we end up like just swimming in this like land of beating ourselves up of mistakes instead of just like, we can just walk away from that, right? Like it's like getting stuck in quicksand. So let's stay with our path, right? We're walking down this path, this journey of life. And when we start to beat ourselves up and we get stuck in these habits and these patterns and these failures and we don't allow ourselves to leave there, it's like finding quicksand along our path and just getting stuck there when like there's a rope ready for us to just like pull ourselves out and keep walking. We're just choosing not, we're just simply ignoring it by like keeping stuck there. And it's hard, right? It's not going to be easy to pull ourselves out of that quicksand and keep going on the path, but it's totally doable. So as you're moving through this and evaluating how January was, don't beat yourself up, be gentle. Just notice where you fell off and use it, pivot from that point. And that brings me to like my next point is maybe you fell off because that just doesn't work for you, right? Let's say, you set a routine for yourself in week 2 and it just fell apart. For a couple days it worked and then it just really fell apart. Sit with that for a few minutes. Think about why. Did it fall apart because it truly just doesn't work for your schedule? I've been doing that a lot with myself lately, noticing where things aren't quite where I want them to be and trying to figure out why. Am I working against myself, trying to create a change that just doesn't work for who I am? Maybe that process works really good, or that setup or that routine or whatever works really good for somebody else, and I read about it or saw it and was like, oh yeah, that sounds great, I want to try that, but it just doesn't work for me. So that's where like this not judgment comes right in, right? When we're not judging ourselves for it and saying like, oh, you suck, you failed, and just living there, we can say, all right, like, why did this fail? Like, all right, like I read this thing where if you wake up at 4:30, you can have this great day. I suck at it. Well, maybe waking up at 4:30 just isn't for you. Maybe 5:30 is your sweet spot. Go for that. And maybe those numbers are crazy, but it's just whatever popped into my head. You get the idea. So as we fall off, make the changes, find the pivot points, see where you want to keep going. This is a constant process. So that's what's next, right? So we had these 4 weeks. Now what? It's just a constant process. These are like 4 pillars that are really going to highlight some areas of our lives where if we keep checking in with them all the time, we're going to kind of stay on this even keel, right? Or at least have that point to come back to when we fall off. Sometimes that's really like the best thing is to just have that point to pivot from, right? We can't pivot if we don't have that original point to pivot from. So, you know, getting that foundation for yourself allows you to come back as you fall off because you know where you're going. So as you're working through this and doing your evaluation for January, if this worked for you and you liked it, again, right? I'm not telling anybody they have to do anything, but if this worked for you and you liked it, as you do your evaluation for January, think about what you want to do next. So week 1, we talked about daily habits, make your bed. Maybe that was your thing, right? Maybe like you're not a bed maker, so you tried that. How'd it go? Was it great? Did it suck? Are you still doing it? Are you not doing it? Did you enjoy it? You know, do that little checklist for yourself and then say, all right, what other daily habit can I look at next? What else in my life shows up all the time, every single day, that I can just check in with? You know, can I make it better? Can I do something different? Am I not doing something that should be a daily habit? Like mine was dishes, right? That's my nemesis. I just hate doing the dishes. I'm trying to figure out how to not hate that because it's just something that has to get done. And I did very well in January. I wasn't perfect at it. I had days where I fell off and it didn't happen. And there was once or twice where there was a sink full of dishes and I was a little frustrated with myself. But I just looked at it. I said, okay, we're just going to do the dishes. And I just took a minute. And it only takes like, it's so simple. It takes such a few minutes. But that was my thing. So now like I'm kind of settling into that. I'm feeling pretty good with it. It's probably time to look at another area and see what's next. And maybe you have more than one thing going on at a time, right? But take on what makes sense for you. We talked a lot about meeting yourself where you are. And that's that same idea with like, if something failed, why? Did it fail because you're not meeting yourself where you are? If you stay up till 3 and sleep till noon, you're not going to start waking up at 5 a.m. That's going to be really hard for you. Maybe try 11, going to bed at 2, start there, right? Meeting ourselves where we are. So that's where we're at. So that's our little recap for January, a little bit with my updates on how I've been doing with my stuff, and a little bit about where we can go from here, right? How can we use these routines that we set and these habits and these little weekly things to keep going and keep building? And I just want to offer, I don't like to make these things like salesy because these are for you guys and for me. They're for us, just to enjoy. But I just do want to point out that if anybody really liked this, if it really worked for you and you had a good January, but you're like, I don't really know what to do next. Like, I like that you told me to make my bed and go to bed and wake up and eat and do all the things. And you liked having a little bit more direction. You want to dive a little bit deeper into this, I'm happy to do like some one-on-one chatting. So don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have questions. I'm not trying to like get you to buy anything. You can totally just ask me a free question, send me a message, right? I'm happy to answer and talk about anything with anyone. But it is an option if it's something you wanted to explore as we move forward in our year. So I hope everybody has a beautiful week and a beautiful weekend. I hope you're not too sore from digging out of the snow, where if you live anywhere near where I am in upstate New York, we got quite a doozy over the weekend and beginning of the week. But yeah, stay safe. Don't hurt yourself shoveling. Try to do some stretching and some other movements to counter it as you do it, right? And that's it. That's all I've got for you guys this week. So have a beautiful week. I'll see everybody next week. Remember, do your little evaluation, be gentle, love on yourself. And it's February. This is the month to love on ourselves. I got my pink on today. I got all my Valentine's Day goodies behind me. I got on these really cute heart earrings from Cassie, Crafts by Cassie. Let me fix it so you can see it. How cute are those? So get in the mood to love on yourself this month and make that your mantra for February, everybody. Mwah! I love you guys. Bye.